A few days ago, Starbucks reported their quarterly earnings, and there's a lot to talk about. While the stock share price has been beaten down pretty bad, about 35% year to date, it sounds like the company is expecting some more growth and a lot of it. In this video, I'll be joined by my good friend Russ over at Dapper Dividends, and we'll share some of the key takeaways from the quarterly earnings report that you need to know and what this means for us Starbucks investors moving forward. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, my friends, what is going on? It's so great to see you guys. My name is Ryan Williams, and today I'm joined by my good friend Russ, aka Punk Rock Russ. I gave you that one, aka Dapper Dividends. Russ, how's it going, man?
It's going good. I am excited to talk about Starbucks. If anybody, you might hear a little bit difference in my the way that I'm speaking because I just got 2 cavities filled. As I was just telling Ryan before we started this, so my jaw and my tongue were completely gone. Wasn't even like they were on my body. I couldn't feel a thing. So the Novocaine is just wearing off. And man, I will say, be thankful that you can feel your jaw and your tongue if you are able to indeed, because dude, it kind of sucks not being able to feel this. So fun times. I'm ready to talk dividends. I'm like the dividend Dr. Seuss. I'll talk dividends with Novocaine and a dentist chair getting drilled. I'll talk about them anywhere. So
you'll talk about them here, there, and everywhere, right?
The dividend Dr. Seuss. I like it. There you go. Anybody who's watching, you can start that channel. That's free ideas.
There you go, man. So we have a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about one of my favorite stocks, and I think as time goes on, it's becoming one of yours as well. But before we get into that, how was your week on the market? How's your portfolio doing?
The portfolio's not doing so well. Roller coaster ride, but as we always say, and the dividend income it actually went up because I was buying things. So dividend income completely unchanged. Not unchanged. I mean, it went up, and yeah, the portfolio, it really doesn't faze me that much. And that's one of the beautiful things about not having to worry about selling and trading and just, I guess if we were closer to retirement and having to sell stocks, then it might suck, but not worried at all. Didn't lose any sleep.
Right. Absolutely. Did you buy some more Starbucks this week?
I did not because I actually made $50 off them because I sold on that day we popped, which was Wednesday, I think. It was Wednesday, right? That was a big update. I sold an $82 covered call because I have 100 shares of Starbucks that I'm doing that with. And I got $50. And of course, by the end of the day, I could have sold it for like 148, but I'm not psychic. So,
right.
But anyway, it was for $82. So if those of you don't know, if Starbucks closed over $82, I would have had to give away those shares and sell them. We won't get into options, but I end up keeping my shares of Starbucks, keeping that $50. So didn't buy any more Starbucks, but I did make money off of Starbucks. So that's it's a way.
Making money from, not appreciation right now, but you got the dividends and you've got the option income.
Absolutely. So yeah, nice, it's something I've been learning, playing around with, sharing a little bit on the channel.
Yeah. Nice, man. Well, let's get into the earnings. I mean, it was this was actually my first earnings call that I actually sat and listened to for Starbucks, but it was very interesting. And in general, doing these things, I'm learning, it really helps you learn a lot about the company. And there were a lot of really great takeaways from the earnings call, wouldn't you say?
More than enough. I don't know. Where do you want to get into it? I mean, I will say my general takeaway is that I like to say that companies are living, breathing entities, and their first order of business is survival. So I think we're watching Starbucks evolve, and Howard Schultz, who is, I think this is his 3rd go around as CEO. He's back, and I think he just has such a passion for the company, which is really cool. And I really hear it even in his prepared remarks when he's reading. We were just talking about 3M, like when 3M was doing it, their CEO, it just sounds like so bland and dry, but Howard has a lot of just love for the company. And that's how he started it out, right? He said he has love for the company. We're watching them evolve. And I think the big takeaway is that he calls it the 3rd place. So you have your home, your work, and then Starbucks. He always called it the 3rd place, but it's not going to be that place where people go and sit for hours anymore. Some people will, but by and large, they're not going to go and hang out in Starbucks every other day for 2 or 3 hours a day. And they're just trying to adapt to that and meet the changing demand from the consumers. So I don't know, is that kind of the feeling you got from it?
Yeah, absolutely. To your point, and I'll put some of these stats on the screen as we're talking about them for those of you watching. So one of the big takeaways, a lot of their store volume is coming from drive-through and mobile. I mean, like you said, people aren't really going and sitting in the coffee shops today as much as they used to, a number of years ago, or even maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And so that seems to be one of their biggest focuses moving forward. I also think I remember him saying like something like 90% of the new stores they're going to be opening up moving forward are going to be drive-throughs.
Yeah. That really surprised me that, that's just the shift. This is what I love about investing. And I love just watching these companies. And like you said, listening to the earnings calls, they literally are telling us what their plans are, what they're going to be doing with the company. And yeah, 90% of the new stores are having that drive-through capability. And I love it every time because I drive around for my work. And every time I buy a Starbucks, I swear to God, there's at least 2 cars in the drive-through lane. Every single time. I don't think I've ever seen an absent or a blank drive-through lane.
Man, I went this morning. I got a coffee this morning, just kind of in honor of this conversation, really. And the one I went to didn't have a drive-through, so we went inside. But the line was out the door.
Kidding. Wow.
And that kind of brings us to maybe the next point is one of the things that Howard really honed in on when he was speaking was the unmet demand for the company. Having said that, for a company as big as Starbucks is, it seems like there's still, because of the unmet demand, there's still a lot more growth that can be found with this company, which was exciting to hear.
Yeah, he said that they have been, they are, and they're going to continue to be a growth company. And that's something that a lot of their peers don't have, is that unmet demand. So it's kind of a good problem to have. And I think that's why, there's like Dutch Bros. I know Ian Lopic is a fan of Dutch Bros. They don't pay a dividend. No. I don't know. Have you had Dutch Bros? I think they're out by you. They're not. I'm here in Chicago, so they're not by me. Yeah,
there's a lot of Dutch Bros in my neck of the woods. In fact, my girlfriend worked there for a number of years, and the culture there, the thing that Dutch Bros has going for them is the culture within the company. It's you will hear people familiar with it say it's almost like a cult. Yeah. I mean, have you been to Dutch Bros?
Never.
Okay.
I poked around on their website a little bit. Looks really interesting. But,
yeah. And it's funny. You drive around town, just where I'm at here. You drive around town and you'll see all these cars with Dutch Mafia stickers, or they've got their, maybe they have their hydro flasks and they're all decked out with Dutch Bros stuff. So you see a lot of Dutch Bros around, and that just speaks to the culture of that company. But Starbucks has a pretty, I don't know if it's a cultural thing. What do you think it is about Starbucks that makes people so inclined to go there and creates all this demand? I mean, it's a part of people's daily routines for many people.
Yeah, it's that intangible thing. I think it's almost become like a status icon. I think people just I'm joking. I was drinking water here. I think people like to see that. They just like having that Starbucks logo to go with their Gucci bag, to go with their Nike shoes. And it's just an iconic brand. And that's one of the intangibles that people will knock Starbucks on, some of the negative shareholders' equity, but that doesn't show up. The brand, the intangible of that brand doesn't show up. And that is just so powerful when you're investing, to have that, like Nike does, Starbucks,
Apple,
I don't know, McDonald's, Apple. Yeah. Disney. Yeah. So I think that's part of it. My father-in-law, and I'll give a counterpoint here. He's a big coffee drinker. He used to work for Sara Lee, which I forget their subsidiaries, which coffee they have, but he used to work for Sara Lee. He doesn't like Starbucks at all. He always grumbles about it. He says it's the worst coffee ever. I don't like. So, I don't know. I'm not a big coffee drinker. I drink tea, but from people that do drink coffee, they seem to love the Starbucks. And I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but sometimes it's not for us to put our fingers on it, because all that matters is that people are, like you said, out the door wanting to buy this product. So what do you think? Why do you think that's so big?
I don't know. I think it's a couple things. I've been going to Starbucks for years, ever since I was a kid. And I know for me, it's always been a very special experience. As a family, we used to go like after church on Sundays, or if we'd go on a road trip, we would, maybe stop by Starbucks on the way out of town. And I would always get like a blended, like decaf peppermint frappuccino, as a kid, and a chocolate croissant. That was just my favorite thing. Still is. I still love their croissants and get them more often than not. But, I had a lot of, I guess I associate Starbucks with a lot of good memories. And so that's what keeps me going there today. In addition to the fact that I am a big coffee drinker.
Now that is really interesting you say that, because when you were describing that, it made me think of McDonald's. How many people had those going to McDonald's? What is up, dude? Oh my God. Don't cut this out. Leave it in. I love it. How many people went to McDonald's with their families, got Happy Meals? They have those good memories and they want to give those memories to their kids. So maybe there's some of that too. And my daughters are both teenagers. They are 15 and 14, or 14 and 13. Oh my God, I should know this. Anyway, they're close to those ages, but they go to Starbucks with their friends. Excuse me. What is
And
up?
it used to be, I remember, I don't know if it's so much the case today, but I remember when I was younger, like in high school, it was almost like wearing a pair of Uggs, walking around with the Starbucks cup. It was just kind of the trendy, the cool thing. And I think that sticks with you. Once you start drinking it, you enjoy the product, and so it's just a habit that you form. And like I said earlier, it becomes a part of a lot of people's daily routines. My mom goes every day on the way to work. She'll get a little, I don't know what she gets, but she'll get the egg bites. She'll get her breakfast and maybe a little drink. And it's just, I think for a lot of people, it becomes ritualistic. It's a good way to start the day.
Yeah. Well, thank her. Thank your mom for helping our dividends out.
Right.
And
I made sure to thank all the people I saw at the store today as well.
yeah, I'll do that. I've joked about how at my work, so our dispatcher loves Mountain Dew, always drinking Mountain Dew. So that's a PepsiCo product. So I always thank him for drinking the Mitten Dew, which, he doesn't get. But yeah, they'll come with McDonald's or whatever I own, dividends in. And I say, hey, thanks for patronizing my business. I appreciate it. So,
I mean, true.
Yeah. But hey, speaking of dividends, I don't know, you want to talk about that a little bit? I got my notes right here.
Let's talk about a couple things. Let's talk about the dividends and the share buyback. So for those of you who aren't too familiar with Starbucks as a stock, it is obviously a dividend paying company. That's why we're talking about it today. And it's really known for being a high growth dividend stock, in the sense that, I mean, not only does the stock appreciate in value, the share price historically goes up pretty well. Not so much right now, which we can probably talk about as well, but the dividend growth is outstanding. I think right now, and you might have to correct me, but I think right now the 5-year dividend growth CAGR is almost 16%. For
17%. 17%. I sent you a slide. You can, he can put this on right now.
I'll put it on the screen.
Yeah. Their last dividend increase was 8.9%, which was in September of 21. The 5-year CAGR is 17%, but the 10-year is 21%. So, dang. I mean, that's huge. And I don't know if they can keep that up for another 10 years, but just the fact there, and I've been guilty of looking at low dividend yields, and Starbucks's dividend yield is currently, it's a little bit higher than the 5-year average, which I have written.
And that's because the share price is just so beaten down.
Yeah. Share price goes down, yield goes up. We get more bang for our buck. Little rat.
You really are the Dr. Seuss of dividend investing.
Yeah. So here I got it. Their current yield is 2.56% as of today, which is 31% above their 5-year average of 1.96%. So right there, just buying today, you're getting the dividend is 31% above the 5-year average, which is just phenomenal for such a high growth, rapidly growing dividend company. And yeah, I mean, this is why a lot of people are going to buy it. And I think Starbucks is going to have like that firewall built in, where when dividend companies, they're only going to fall so far. Like, it's not going to see like what Peloton, Space. Who's that? Virgin Galactic? Or is that
Virgin Galactic.
Yeah, Virgin Galactic. Like, dude, you're seeing these just plummet. But Starbucks isn't going to plummet, because if it had like a 6% yield, everybody's going to come in and start buying it, and that'll just start pushing the price back up. So it's really nice with some of the solid dividend companies, and that's why they can be a little bit of a safe place to hide out, because that share price, the further it falls, that yield's just going to keep going up, and it's going to look really attractive to anybody, not just income investors, right?
Yeah. I mean, even where it's at right now, near a 2.6% dividend yield, it's average, right? That would be considered a pretty average dividend yield, but it is so far above where it normally sits that it makes it an enticing buy right now.
Yeah, I should Google it. I think the S&P is what, like 1.8, something like that. 1 point
something
1
like
point
that.
something.
Mm-hmm.
I'll find it.
Yeah, but in addition to the dividend, that's really only one way that companies like this are able to provide value to shareholders. Another way, one that is definitely relevant to Starbucks right now, is share buybacks, which, for those of you who don't know, essentially what those are, share buybacks or share repurchases, is when the company literally buys back their own shares. So what that means is when it comes time to pay the dividends or what have you, when it comes to calculating earnings per share, because there's less shares outstanding, there's less shares on the table or on the market, they don't have to pay as much in dividends. It could make it easier for them to keep the dividend going or even growing the dividend. And in regards to Starbucks, they were buying back shares pretty regularly. They had a pretty strong share buyback program going. But one thing they talked about in this earnings call was that they were putting it on pause at least until next year. And Russ, you can touch on this more as well, but the reason being because they said that, and I'll put this on the screen right now, typically share buybacks have gotten them about a 10% return. But they think by pausing that and allocating that money elsewhere, they'll be able to generate a much better return. And the elsewhere that they plan to put that money is going to be back into the company, back into the partners, which is what they call the employees, back into opening more stores, more high-performing drive-through stores and stuff like that. So in the short term, it might, or on the surface, it might seem kind of cruddy that they're suspending the share buybacks because we like that as shareholders. But at the same time, this should help the company grow further into the future. And it overall will seem to be a better move based on what they said.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, by the way, it's the S&P 500 average dividend yield right now is 1.37% according to Y-Chart. So, I mean, so Starbucks is substantially higher than that. Yeah, as far as the buybacks, Warren Buffett loves buybacks. Warren Buffett doesn't like to pay dividends, but he receives them. And that was really cool for me to hear that it's about a 10% return. So Howard is saying by them investing in the people and the businesses, and the business, that they're going to be able to return and generate a much higher return and return more value to shareholders. So I know a lot of people got their panties in a bunch about the suspending of the buybacks, but it's with good reason. It's not like they're just willy-nilly suspending it. So, and
can I jump in there and speak on that a little more? To that point, I was one of those people who, at first, when hearing about that, thought, that sucks, because in general, you think, okay, share buybacks, good, no share buybacks, bad, but it's really more nuanced than that. And this is a great example of that. And sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to jump in and say that real quick.
Cut away. I don't mind. But so also the buybacks contribute, they said, at least 1% of their fiscal year 2022 earnings per share growth. So when you buy back, it just kind of, it's more of like a, what would you say, like a financially engineered, or I'm saying that wrong. So it can give the appearance that your earnings per share is growing when it's kind of stagnant.
It's artificial.
That's why. Yeah, artificial. Yeah. That's why it's also good. You want to see the revenue going up as well. So if revenue is going down, but the earnings per share is going up, it could be because they're just mad buying back shares.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about it. I mean, it's like they said, they're going to give a better return to the shareholders by making investments into the business. So, I think it's a good idea with what they said. I'm sold. I'm convinced. Like you, I first heard that and I was like, well, let's find out why. So instead of just, panic and just find out why they're suspending the share buybacks and for how long.
Yeah. And, moving on, one of the big topics of conversation with Starbucks. There's actually been two. Number one, China. Okay, China, for those of you who don't know, is a big growth avenue for Starbucks. They've been opening a lot of stores in China and trying to expand growth into that country. And I mean, Russ, would you want to talk about what they talked about in regards to China?
Well, they expect China one day to be their biggest business, even larger than the United States, which
that was interesting.
Surprised me, but I don't know. Yes and no, because China has, I should know. I don't know how many, I know they have more people. Mm-hmm. They probably have the largest population of any country in the world, I would think.
I think so. And one interesting thing they said in regards to China, it seems like it's like China, Luckin Coffee is another popular brand, but Starbucks said that 1 out of every 2 coffee drinkers in China is drinking Starbucks.
Yeah, it's a lot of growth. And again, this gets me excited because it is a global brand. It's a way to invest in the United States with that international exposure. Kind of like Altria. When you invest in Altria, the tobacco giant, they have, I think, literally nothing outside of, I want to say North America, but it could even be the United States. I should know that. Mm-hmm. Whereas you're investing in Starbucks, they're just all over the world. They're everywhere, probably even in Antarctica too. So, it's phenomenal. And again, this is one of the reasons where it ties into the suspending of the buybacks, because also, China is a concern, but including China, their international sales that grew 4%, and their international stores were up 9% to over 17,700 stores. So they're still growing, even with all the issues in China. They are still able to show positive growth, which is just gives me that warm, fuzzy feeling.
Yeah. And really at this point, the headwind coming out of China is COVID cases going back up, which seems to be what's going on over there right now. But even that's a short-term thing, and that will be resolved. And in the call, they didn't seem too concerned about that. They did suspend guidance, I think, because of that. But because
that's what it was. Guidance. Yeah.
You're not sure how that's.
Buybacks.
Yeah, you're not sure how that's going to play out, but it'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't think it's a problem. One thing that I did find interesting was that they have over $1 billion just sitting and loaded on Starbucks gift cards. And my daughter has, I think from Christmas, she got a few Starbucks gift cards. So she's part of that wonderful problem that they have. And she's always waiting. I don't know why. She's always waiting to use it.
Have you used the app personally?
No, I haven't. But again, my daughters have. It's kind of funny that I'm here. I didn't even think of this, how many times I've already brought my daughters into this whole Starbucks thing. And that is good because they are, again, I'll just say they're 13 and 14. I think they're 13 and 14, but they're 13 and 14. And I keep mentioning them in this Starbucks conversation, which is what you need. I mean, you can't just, you can just have, old people. That was an argument with Facebook, is that people started saying, well, all the old people use Facebook. Well, who has all the money? It's all the older people. So, I haven't used it, but my daughters have, and they're part of the rewards program, which I think now is 27 million accounts. They said the rewards membership is up 17%.
That seems to be doing really well. And I can say, like, whenever we go, my girlfriend and I, that's how we order. We order through the mobile app. That's how we did it this morning. And it's super easy. It makes it so easy. You just go in and your coffee's already ready to go. And it takes like 5 seconds to order it.
I think it's great. Yeah. I'm going to have to use it now. Now you got me. I'm intrigued. Maybe we'll go to Starbucks today. And Mother's Day.
And they, I think one of the issues with the app, though, we were kind of talking about this yesterday. It is difficult how do I explain this? It's difficult to leave a tip on the app. And that kind of ties in directly to some of the issues with the employees, maybe not feeling that they're making enough money, or they'd like to get more from working out of Starbucks. So I'm happy to see that sort of investment taking place in refurbishing the app and making it better, which hopefully will appease some of the partners a little bit more. And that's kind of ties into another one of their headwinds and one of the big deals with Starbucks is the unionization issues.
Yeah. So they said in 2023, digital tipping is going to come about. So I guess that's going to be good. That'll help appease some people. But yeah, I've enjoyed watching this fight with Howard against the unions, because he's been pretty outspoken against the unionization of it. But it was nice. He understands. He said, I understand why these young people want to do it because they feel like they need more money. But from what I know in my experience, I've had a lot of experience with the unions, some negative, some good, but they're a third party labor organization. So they're just another cost. They're adding that cost, but it's kind of funny to watch them throw the gauntlet down and really send out a warning shot by saying, hey, if you guys go ahead and unionize, cool. But just be aware that if we want to give you more generous pay or benefits, once you lock yourselves into that union contract, which was negotiated, we're federally prohibited. We're prohibited by federal law from increasing your wages or giving you more benefits until that contract is renegotiated. So, in so many words, he's kind of saying like, go ahead and unionize at your own risk.
Mm-hmm. And we're hearing a lot of noise about the unionization issues going on, but is that really there's not really many stores that are kind of taking steps towards unionizing, right?
No, from what I know, it's kind of in the more union friendly states, I guess. So I know, what was it? Buffalo, I think. Mm-hmm. Or was that? I get confused between Amazon because Amazon and Starbucks have been the two, right? The two that keep going in the news about their stores unionizing. And yeah, I mean, union membership is down. They're hurting for members, and they keep thinking if they get their foot in the door with these big giants like Amazon and Starbucks, that's going to be more money for them. Mm-hmm. And it's, I always want to tread lightly, but I think the unions largely are part of a bygone era. I think they did a lot of good and they were very necessary, but I mean, in today's world of social media and just, there's so many laws that came about from that. I think it's really hard to mistreat workers. And I think people, from what I've seen, without going into detail, I've seen people that kind of have manufactured ways to feel like they're being slighted by their employers. But, that's just my opinion. And I'm sure people disagree with it. But, I think it's just interesting to watch him, kind of putting up his dukes, like throwing the gauntlet down.
Yeah, he's speaking up about it. He's also treading very lightly, but overall, it seems like he's taking the stance of. It didn't seem threatening to me, like don't join a union or else you won't get these things we're offering. It does seem to be. He does seem to be approaching it from a more educational standpoint. Like, look, I get what you guys are doing, but you don't exactly know what you're getting into with this, it seems like, right?
Yeah. Again, going back to my experiences throughout the years, I'm in the trades. I work in the commercial and industrial loading dock equipment industry. And I've done this for, 23 years almost now. But yeah, they got to get paid too. So just always remember that labor unions are third-party organizations. And they're kind of that intermediary, which is what he said, right? He feels like we don't need an intermediary between us and our partners, as he calls them. Like, was he call them the Green Apron partners?
Yeah.
I never heard that. I think
the reason they're called partners is because every employee gets shares. Like they actually get stock options or something like that. I remember that from when my brother worked there back in the day. I'm pretty sure they get some sort of stock options.
I didn't know that. That would be interesting. So,
and I could be wrong. You guys might have to correct me on that in the comments.
Yeah, let us know. I'd like to know that. I'm going to get my kids to go work there. So they can go get some shares.
I mean, honestly, it doesn't seem like a bad gig. You get benefits. The pay seems decent. I mean, you get to listen to smooth jazz all day at work. And
I've joked around about barista fire when I hit that point I only need a little bit of money coming in, just get a part-time Starbucks job.
I've actually thought about that as well. And I wouldn't mind doing it,
Yeah, I haven't worked fast food since I was 15. I worked at White Castle. I don't know if you know what that is.
Oh, heck yeah.
Do you? You don't have them out by you, do you?
No, the nearest one is in Las Vegas, and I've actually never been, but I know White Castle. Right. Yeah,
we did. We went to Vegas in November of 2020.
Okay,
and we were walking down the strip, and I was like, "What? White Castle?" So brought the kids in there. Wasn't that bad going to Vegas with the kids? People said we were crazy, but they loved it. They want to go back.
Yeah, there's a lot to do. There's a lot to see. Even if you're just walking up and down the strip, there's so much going on.
We do need chairs though. The Bellagio, the kids, I love the Bellagio fountains. They just need chairs there. So
I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Starbucks, man. There's two more things we probably should talk about from the earnings call. The first of which was what they were talking about with Web 3.0. Starbucks is getting into NFTs. What's going on there?
I don't really know, but I'm curious to hear more about that. And I think we'll probably get the lowdown on Investor Day, which they moved up from. It was going to be in December in New York, and they moved it to September in Seattle. So I think they said they want to go over a lot of the innovations in technology. I'm curious to hear about the NFTs. I do own some NFTs. It's dabbling, experimenting, and just touching on that. We weren't going to talk about this, but for those of you that don't like Bitcoin, I can see it where it was supposed to be something independent of the market, but man, every time the market drops, Bitcoin drops right along with it and has a big sell-off. The market goes up. It's almost like a tech stock to me. I mean, that's what a lot of the cryptos are moving, but
yeah, it's not really moving so much like a store of value.
No, not at all. It's moving in tandem or sympathy with the market, it seems. But I'm going to be fascinated to hear. I know they touched on it a little bit, and I've largely forgotten. I don't know if you took some notes on it, what they said, but yeah, that digital third place, right? He said they want to be the digital third place in the Web 3.0, which, do you know what Web 3.0 is? Do you have I was going to Google it. So Web,
I know 1. It from listening to your podcast. That's how I know it, but go ahead.
Did you listen to this last one I did?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I pretty much didn't do what I did, but yeah, anyway, Web 1.0 is like read only, where I would go to, ESPN.com. You just read an article. You can't interact with it. Web 2.0 is kind of what we're in now with read and write. So you can read and then you can leave comments. You can go to Twitter and Facebook and interact with people. And then 3.0 is like blockchain, cryptocurrency, non-fungible tokens, NFTs, decentralized applications are all, those are all examples of it. They think it's going to take some time though to really get implemented. Yeah. And yeah, I think I heard like voting can be done using the Web 3.0. So it's going to be contracts. Like I could make a deal with you, and once we give it the parameters, then it'll execute once all those parameters are met. It's really just the evolution of the internet. So yeah, I'm going to be curious to hear what they're going to do with that. And yeah, as far as their NFTs, I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. I think kind of the fringes on it I own with like Lofty.ai. It's real estate, tokenized real estate. All it is, it's like a stock. They have buildings and properties on there, and it's kind of cool. So you vote on what to do with length of contracts, and if you should follow property manager when they give a recommendation, and rent increases. Like they do like 6 or 7 different voting tokenomics, and that's all kept on the Algorand blockchain. So that's like smart contracts in itself. But as far as like the law is concerned, like you actually own these. So they'll take like a house or a multi-tenant property, and they'll break it into like 10,000 tokens, and each token costs $50, or they're always $50. Anyway, they appreciate in value, and you get paid every day. I think it's like a penny a day or something I get. So it's not much, but it's an experiment.
That sounds like somewhere between owning a REIT and owning physical real estate.
Yeah, it absolutely is. There's things I like, things I don't. But with REITs, it's just super easy to get in and out, and it's just so liquid and so easy. So I don't know if I'd recommend it for everybody, but for me, it's just,
So what they were saying about Starbucks and this whole Web 3.0 and NFT space, from the earnings call, they said, imagine acquiring a new digital collectible from Starbucks, where that product also serves as your access pass to a global Starbucks community, one with engaging content, experiences, and collaboration, all centered around coffee.
Ooh, we'll read that again. I like that, man.
You want me to read it again?
Nah, you got those dulcet tones. Dulcet tones. Why is that always in my head? Damn,
you said it on the podcast too.
I did. It just, anyway, I need a better descriptive, better adjective. No, there's an Irish podcaster I listened to years and years ago, and he always used to say the dulcet tones of my voice. Yeah, what were we talking about? Yeah, so I don't know what that means, what they're going to be tokenizing, what they're going to give, like, I guess if you want to get access to, maybe they'll even do, you had to get a special drink or rewards or something like that. If you own this NFT, then you can get this thing. The possibilities are truly limitless, I think.
Maybe it'll be like priority drink making. Like when you order as an NFT holder, the staff, they drop everything they're doing. They make your drink right away. Everyone else, all the normal non-NFT holders, people not in the community, you got to wait a little bit longer. We've got VIPs over here.
Yeah, but it's fun though. I think this is fun that they're just talking about it and where they're going to go with it.
Or there could be special stores, like stores almost like lounges or clubs that you have to be an NFT holder or part of the community to enter.
Yeah. So when we flew to Washington, D.C., we had a special deal on our Amex card or something where we got to use one of the airport lounges.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I wish I could go there every time.
Yeah. It's one of the, it's like the Amex Platinum or Gold. It's one of those two. I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. So we used it, and oh my God, dude, there was just food. There was beer.
Yeah. Imagine a similar thing for Starbucks. Like that seems very plausible, where you go in, they've got their croissants all laid out. They've got the pumpkin bread, they've got the cake pops. And then, you can just belly up to the coffee bar and sip decaf till your heart's content. I think that sounds really cool.
Yeah. So again, and this is what, this is why I love investing and just where the world's going. It's always evolving and always changing. And those companies that don't change, hello, Blockbuster, you're going to go away.
Yeah.
Barnes and Nobles too. Barnes and Nobles could have got on the internet, like talk about missing an opportunity. Right. So I don't think Starbucks, they see things and they want to go for it, which is what I like, that, Barnes and Nobles, I remember reading that they could have went and just completely eliminated Amazon. They could have bought Amazon, I think, and they didn't think that was the way to go. And hey, look what happened,
I love Barnes and Noble. In fact, you'll find Starbucks in Barnes and Noble.
That is true. Did I say Barnes and Nobles? Because I think I have a habit of that. A lot of people here from Chicago, we had S's onto the end of things.
Yeah.
Don't know why. But yeah, Barnes and Noble, they got a Starbucks in there. I forgot about that. Yeah. Sometime, I swear to God, one time we're going to see maybe that's where the NFTs come in. We'll see a Starbucks inside of a Starbucks. It'll be the special Starbucks in the Starbucks.
Yeah. No, that honestly, that could exactly be it. Like a special VIP section. I keep using that word VIP, but it seems to be the easiest explanation so far as to what maybe that could look like. Moving on, kind of the last thing really worth mentioning about Starbucks from the earnings call is Howard Schultz, who, like you said earlier, has now come back for the third time as the CEO. Supposedly he's the interim CEO, but they did speak on his plans with the company and what that's going to look like moving forward and how long he's going to be around. Essentially, and you can speak on this more too, essentially he said when asked about it, he's still going to help transition the next leader. They said pretty much verbatim, we are driving towards naming the new leader in the fall. So they are looking for someone to replace Schultz, but it sounds like even with that, he'll be sticking around. The new CEO, whoever they choose, is going to be shadowing him for some time before completely taking things over. And even after that, Schultz is going to stay on the board just to make sure everything is copacetic and it's moving how it should. Because it seems like I read a headline this morning that said, and Schultz might have even said this directly in the call, that he's now has to come in and play catch up, which suggests that they weren't doing things as they should in his eyes. And would you say that's right? Like, could you add anything to that?
Yeah. So I think he's just going to set it up so they can hit the ground running. I don't think he was happy with Kevin Johnson and what he was doing and the union issues that are popping up. So it's his baby. I mean, he wasn't the founder of Starbucks, but I don't know if you've read that story or the backstory. There was basically three dudes and one of them wanted out and then the other two wanted out later. And he came in and basically made it into what it is now. But yeah, Who it's going to be, I don't know. I did hear some rumblings that it could potentially be Roz Brewer. She was the former CEO of Walgreens. And I mean, as a Black woman, that would check so many boxes. And, she had her ties with, I think she was just a board member of Starbucks. I should remember this. But what I like is Brewer. I mean, come on. You have a CEO of Starbucks with the last name Brewer. I think that would work. But
think of all the headlines that are going to come from that.
They'd write themselves.
Yeah.
So whoever it is, I mean, he's just, I think, trying to set it up, kind of don't F it up when I leave type of situation. He's going to set it up really nice and easy for them to just slide on in there. And
I know, man, he's trying to relax. He's trying to relax. He's like, okay, when I leave this time, I got to make sure it's in good hands. So I don't got to keep coming back and cleaning everything up for you guys, cleaning up your mess. Not that it was necessarily a huge mess, with Kevin, I don't think, but Howard is a company icon.
He's taken a salary of $1 a year, I believe, is what I read.
Mm-hmm. So that was pretty much it. I mean, that's the earnings call in a nutshell. Moving forward, what do you think we can expect from Starbucks, and what are your plans with that company moving forward as far as an investment?
Yeah. So I'm actually, the way the story went with the 100 shares I acquired, I had written a covered call on Realty Income, and this is in my retirement account, my self-directed IRA. I'd written a covered call, and every call option is for 100 shares. So always keep that in mind. And I wrote a covered call option on Realty Income, and it kept going up. I had those shares called away. And while I was waiting for it to go down, I was like, you know what? I think Starbucks was at like $84, $85 a share. I said, I'm going to write an $80 covered call, or an $80 cash secured put, which is the opposite, meaning if it goes down and it hits that and it keeps going below, then I have to buy those shares at 80. So that's what happened. And, as we look more into this company, I'm kind of thinking like, I don't know, man, I might just keep holding these shares. And to give it that little bit of tie into Realty Income, when I got that $50 this week, I thought that's basically 2 months of Realty Income dividends. So that's a way I might just play the game. It'll kind of be, it'd be like, I'll still be getting the Starbucks dividends, but because I won't be getting the Realty Income dividends, I can just try and offset what I would have been getting with a little bit of option income. So, but yeah, I think I'm going to keep holding them. Love where they're going. Love the direction. I love that they're just really trying to innovate. And I'm super excited for the investor day in September to see what they were talking about with the technology and innovation that they're excited to share with everyone.
Mm-hmm. Do you know if can shareholders go to that investor day? Is it something with an audience, or?
I don't know if it's like Berkshire. So with Berkshire, you have to own one share of either the A or B shares to be able to go, but I don't know. That would be kind of fun though.
That would be fun.
I know. We should look into that.
That'd be a fun,
bunch of us
fun video to make, huh?
Yeah, it would. I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah, maybe we'll look into that. That'd be fun. It's interesting that they did move up the investor day though. Do you think that's just because there's so many good things and they just can't wait to share it with the people?
Yeah, I think it could be. I think they have their reasons. I think they just want to generate more buzz, maybe I don't know, maybe they want to get a little bit ahead of the Q4 earnings and give a better spin, I don't know. But yeah, traditionally, I don't think they would move it up if it was bad news and they didn't have something really buzzworthy. I don't think they would move it up a few months.
Mm-hmm. That actually brings up kind of, I guess, my last question from this earnings call. Anything bad? Is there any negative that you took away from this?
Yeah, just the growth. I mean, in China,
the short-term headwinds.
Yeah, the short-term headwinds. I mean, that could stunt the growth a little bit. The buybacks being suspended. I think some investors don't like that. They like to see it on paper because that's guaranteed. Like you can show that done and that is bought back. But when you say, well, we're going to be making investments, like that might not show up for, it could take a couple of years for that to really show up and pan out. So,
Yeah.
I think they're going to keep paying the dividend, and just those short-term headwinds with supply chain and not being able to meet demand. I think they're really going to have to figure out that way to keep up with the demand, or else I don't know. I mean, I don't know if people aren't going to go somewhere else, but like you said, line out the door. I don't think they want those lines too much more out the door, because then people are going to be like, well, we'll just go to Dutch Bros instead. And I don't know do they have lines out the door too?
Yeah, Dutch Bros gets pretty long too. So Dutch Bros is only drive-through. There's no, like, you can't walk into a Dutch Bros and order. They're just little coffee stands. They're like little huts. Yeah. And I think that's kind of the direction Starbucks is moving towards. And I've actually seen a handful of those in my area here, ones that are just drive-through.
It might be like when I just went to get gas this week, and I was pulling into a mobile, and as I pulled in at the pump, I looked kitty corner. Granted, it was a busy intersection. That Novocaine's still wearing off. It was a busy intersection. And what was kitty corner? A freaking mobile. So I don't know. Maybe someday Starbucks will do something like that, where they'll just have a really close vicinity. They'll have a bunch of more stores. Mm-hmm. I guess I'm turning Italian now. So yeah, it's exciting. Man. I don't think they're going anywhere. I think they're a big blue chip company. I think they are a safe investment. And given that the dividend yield is over 30% above the 5-year average, and the PE, which we didn't talk about, the forward PE is, it is what, 14%, I think, below their 5-year average. So
it's in the 20s, somewhere in the 20s still.
24.1 right now, and the 5-year average is 27.9. So I think they look like a good buy, and I'd be confident, in my opinion, buying Starbucks here and holding for the long term.
Yeah. I mean, normally with a PE about where it's at, right? 24 to 27, we as dividend investors looking for just the greatest value, we might look at that on the surface and say, that's a little bit high. That doesn't really indicate any sort of discounted valuation. But it's also important, just like with share buybacks, there are nuances that we have to take into account. One with Starbucks being that there is still a lot of growth ahead. And so a lot of investors, ourselves being two examples of that, we're willing to pay for Starbucks at these PE levels where it's above 20, mid 20s, because we know that there is more growth to come from this company.
Yeah. Good company. I like them.
Yeah. Me too, man.
My thumb
me
up
too.
Approval.
Yeah. I'm going to be, I'll drink to that actually. I'm going to be averaging down on Starbucks for the time being. I've been buying, putting 50, 75 bucks into it every week for, I think the last couple of months now, or maybe a month and a half. And I'm definitely going to keep that going. It's one of the top 5 biggest positions in my portfolio, and I'm looking to keep it there.
Yeah. Yeah. What is the largest that you'll be comfortable with if it got to? Because I know that a rule of thumb is they say you don't want any position like the max, like 10% of your portfolio.
That's exactly what I subscribe to. I think right now it's about 5.5%, maybe 5.7% of my total portfolio. If it gets to 7-ish or 8, I'd probably chill out on it, but I don't know. It will take some time at the rate that I'm contributing to it for it to get there. So maybe 7%. My biggest position right now, which isn't good in my taxable account, is realty income, which is close to 7% of my total portfolio. So I'm looking to bring the weighting of that down. And I'm doing that by just adding to the other companies in my portfolio, so I wouldn't mind if Starbucks replaced that. I don't know if I want it to be the number 1, but definitely in the top 5, I'll keep it there.
Yeah. No, that's what you do then. But if you stop adding and you just keep adding to everything else, it'll naturally start to come down. Like with my PepsiCo shares, I got a little bit of work. I think it's like 14%, but I knew that was going to happen. So I'm breaking a lot of rules, and it's okay. One more share next week, and then that'll be done. And then it's,
there are certain companies I think that you can take exception to that 10% rule, allocation rule. Pepsi would be a good one. I know for me, Procter and Gamble would be one of those. Any safe staple company like that, I think it's okay to have a little bit more of. And I know, like you, for Pepsi, for you, like you have a very specific plan with that. You're buying a share every single week till you get to 100. So
yeah. And the reason I'm doing that is I'm going to hopefully control my greed because I want to start selling covered calls, but I'm going to try and do weeklies and go pretty far out of the money. So it's really unlikely to hit. And even if I get another 15 to 20 bucks a week, that, that would be awesome to me. So that's kind of my idea, what I'm looking at. So by the way, I'll have my 100th video. I'm coming out next weekend. So I got a really, really fun intro on it by a certain person that a lot of people know. So it's kind of fun.
No, man, I'm excited to check that out. And I think having said that, this is a good place to kind of wrap things up. So everyone definitely go check out Russ's channel. I've included a link to it in the description of this video. Russ is one of my good homies in the dividend investing community. And I've learned a lot from watching his stuff and just chatting with him. So you guys, if you like watching my stuff, you'll probably like watching him even more. So check it out.
Thanks, man. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming onto the channel. And I look forward to doing this again with you sometime soon.
Absolutely.
Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed hanging out and talking dividend stocks with me and Russ today. If you want to keep the party going, then click on this video right up over here. And at this point, guys, I'm putting out 2 videos every single week and would love to have you guys follow me along for the journey. So hit that subscribe button right over here as well. And we thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.